If it is or if it ain't, it's gonna come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you are listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is July the 19th, 2022, and today the topic is throw caution to the wind and be prudent. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. For those of you all that are watching live, you may notice I'm in a change of scenery. I'm in Studio B. That's because I unfortunately didn't realize that I had rescheduled a interview on yesterday, and yeah, but by the grace of God, I was able to go ahead and make it happen, even in spite of my, being human and not having it on my schedule and whatnot. And so yeah, here we go. Here we are in Studio B. But yeah, man, yesterday was pretty cool overall. Um, Spent a lot of time with my homegirl. She stopped by and we was chit-chatting and everything like that. Um, and that's pretty much how the day went. The day didn't necessarily go exactly the way I thought it was going to go, obviously, because I just told you one thing that happened. But at the end of the day, I believe things happened the way it was supposed to. It was a nice little evening. She had brought her granddaughter, so NJ had someone to play with. They also had like this little puppy, and so he had two someones to play with while we were talking and everything like that. And it was nice to see him with the little puppy. I'm going to be honest about that. And I know that my husband was talking about getting him a dog at some point. But my thing is like, I'm okay with maybe like these little dogs, but I don't know about no big dog in the house. It's a whole thing. But anyway, um, so yeah, that's pretty much what yesterday looked like. Um, I woke up this morning at 1:25, and so obviously that was super early, right? So I did, look up verses centered around that, and it led me to James 1:25, which was quite interesting. So if you guys want to check that out, by all means, read it for yourself. But yeah, and eventually between 1:25 and my regular time of waking up at 4, I ended up just kind of watching still watching the Ugly Betty series. I think I'm on season 3 now. So I'm sure, I should be wrapping that up real soon. But anywho, I was watching some of that, and then eventually, I started to get a little tired. So I think I went to sleep briefly, and then my alarm went off, and it took me a little bit to get up. I ain't gonna lie, but eventually I did, and everything like that. I think in the process of me waking up, this topic, throw caution to the wind, came into my mind. And so I was like, okay, I looked that up, Lord, and everything. But, I had to, do my routine of actually waking up and listening to the Soul Space app and everything like that. So I listened to the Soul Space app. Unfortunately, I don't remember anything that it said, but I remember it being pretty good, and everything like that. And then I started to look up the Bible verses centered around throw caution to the wind. Didn't really find much, or it wasn't necessarily resonating with me. You know how that goes. And so I went deeper, right? I ended up looking up the phrase itself and like where it came from and how it's really said and stuff like that. Which to me, it kind of pointed towards um, taking risks and whatnot. So I started looking up verses around taking risk and the word risk and everything like that. I looked up the word risk. I didn't write any of that down, but I'm just telling y'all what I did. So then, eventually, me reading verses around risk, I believe, I started to notice either the word prudent at some point while I was looking up verses centered around risk. And so I decided to look up the word prudent. And that was interesting as well. Didn't write it down. I feel like I might have shared it in the past. I don't know. But if you don't know that definition, then go check it out. And then I started to look up verses centered around being prudent and everything like that. And so that's what led me to this conversation for today. I mean, because on one hand, they sound like two of the opposite things. It's like on one hand, it's like take risk, throw caution to the wind, and then on the other hand, it's like be prudent and careful and blah blah blah. So yeah, and the interesting thing is I'm gonna be talking about the topics in reverse. So even though my thing says throw caution to the wind and be prudent, we're going to talk about those prudent verses first. So here we go. Proverbs 27:17 says, "The prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it." I feel like I read this verse recently to y'all. I don't know why. Either I read it or I read it to y'all. I don't know. But it seemed very familiar, a bit of deja vu this morning when I read that verse. But let's keep going because Proverbs 14:16 is kind of similar as well. It says, uh, one who is wise is cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is reckless and careless. Yes, it says a fool is reckless and careless. So I mean, with listening to those two verses, right? You know, it seems like we need to be careful, cautious, all these things, right? So where does this whole throw caution to the wind thing goes? On one hand, I was like, well, maybe it's one of those things again where we just supposed, it sounds completely the opposite of what the Bible says. So the Bible's telling us to be prudent. The world tells us to throw caution to the wind, and I was gonna just chalk it up at that as another situation like that, but I don't know. I guess I was reminded of the talents and everything like that, and the different positions that God has created. Maybe I was even reminded of the conversation I had with my friend yesterday because we kind of talked a little bit about this and whatnot. About like at the end of the day, there's people have different giftings, and people need to be working and operating in their giftings, and there's power in that. There's reason for that and everything like that, because maybe my way to minister or share, right, might not be someone else's cup of tea, but maybe someone else can be able to reach someone that I can't reach, and vice versa, and um so I was reminded of that this morning. So when I started kind of writing down these verses centered around throwing caution to the wind, these are what stood out to me. Ephesians 2:10. It says, "For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them." Now, this is not an unfamiliar verse. I know I've shared this here multiple times on the juice, but I guess I just was reminded of it this morning, or it stood out to me this morning because, again, like, if we understand that, okay, we were created for good works ahead of time, like, a long time ago, and we need to be walking in those works, then if you're going to throw caution to the wind about anything, it should be that, it should be the things of God, your giftings, and things of that nature. I'm going to keep going, y'all. 1 Peter 4:10, it says, "As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace." Again, if you're going to throw caution to the wind about anything, it needs to be the gifts that God has given you, right? Let's keep it going again. 1 Corinthians 14:12. "So with yourselves, since you are eager for manifestations of the Spirit, strive to excel in building up the church." We all play a part, y'all. At the end of the day, we might have to take some risk in some areas, and there's rewards to taking, certain risks. But the risk we need to be taking is with the giftings that God has given us, the things that He has created us to do, His will, His way. And guess what? That's the juice, y'all. That is the juice this morning. I hope that encourages you and inspires you. there's a quite a variety of verses in the Go Deeper section for you all to peruse and let marinate on your heart, souls, and minds this morning. Hopefully something to kind of either spark a fire or fan the flame or whatever the case is when it comes to, taking a risk when it comes to the things of God, but also being careful and prudent when it comes to the things of the world and anything else like that. So take a look at the Go Deeper section if you can and will. But the Bible verse of today is Matthew 6:7-8. It says, "But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you all have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow if the Lord's will. And whether you know it or not, friends, you guys just heard the 100th episode of the 7th season. So that means that tomorrow, if the Lord's will, you guys will be listening to season 8 of God's Sex and Love, episode 1. Because God be the glory, man, for all of these things and for all of these accomplishments. I just had to let y'all know that. And yes, looking forward to that tomorrow if the Lord's will. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Everyone is stuck at home, but life is still happening around us every day. Birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, and celebrations. Send your friends and family the gift of wine from the comforts of home. Wine shop at home with Miracle of Wine. Wine, gift baskets, wine accessories, and more at miracleofwine.com.